For centuries, Cambodia's global image was anchored to the ancient stone temples of Angkor Wat. But by the late 20th century, the country had to rebuild itself from the ground up after decades of devastating conflict. The turning point arrived in the late 1990s. Through the win-win policy, Cambodia secured full peace and territorial integrity. This stability provided the necessary conditions for a massive wave of foreign investment, turning the country into a powerhouse for labor-intensive manufacturing, especially in garments. Between 1998 and 2022, Cambodia maintained a 7% average annual growth rate. GDP surged from $3.11 to $29.6 billion. GDP per capita rose sevenfold to $1,784, and the national poverty rate plummeted below 10%. You can physically see this shift in the capital. The skyline of Phnom Penh transitioned from low-rise traditional architecture to a dense, urbanized hub dominated by modern glass skyscrapers and global financial institutions. This first 25-year cycle succeeded in building a stable foundation. However, maintaining this momentum requires moving beyond the structural limits of basic, labor-intensive growth. Relying heavily on a few traditional industries creates a narrow growth base. It leaves the entire national economy highly vulnerable to external shocks, like sudden changes in global demand or disruptions in the supply chain. Those external pressures are accelerating. The world is currently facing major geopolitical fragmentation, a rise in trade protectionism, and a real risk of deglobalization, making it harder for developing nations to rely on open exports. This chart illustrates the core problem, the middle income trap. A developing economy grows rapidly using cheap labor, but eventually wages rise and that competitive advantage disappears. To break that barrier and continue moving upward, a country must transition into skill-based and technology-intensive industries. On top of these economic hurdles, climate change poses a severe physical threat to agricultural productivity and existing infrastructure. These are complex, multi-layered problems that building more basic factories will not solve. To avoid economic stagnation and protect its sovereignty in a volatile world, Cambodia is launching a new, more complex engine for its next 25-year cycle. The ultimate target is Cambodia Vision 2050. The objective is to fully transition into a high-income, resilient, and vibrant society by the middle of the century. This is the official document for the Pentagonal Strategy Phase 1. It serves as the primary blueprint for the 7th Legislature of the National Assembly to achieve that 2050 vision. For the past 2 decades, the government utilized a 4-sided rectangular strategy to rebuild the nation. Now they expand that structure into a 5-sided framework to handle the complexities of a modernizing state. This new geometry represents 5 core mandates: growth, employment, equity, efficiency, and sustainability. Every new policy and infrastructure project must serve these pillars. This framework acts as a comprehensive resilience blueprint designed to protect Cambodia's recent economic gains from a volatile global order. To execute those 5 mandates, the strategy dictates 5 tangible priorities for physical and human capital: people, road, water, electricity, and technology. Technology is the most critical new addition. The government is pushing to build a digital economy, preparing the workforce and the national infrastructure for the demands of the 4th Industrial Revolution. At the same time, the road and electricity priorities acknowledge that high-value-added industries require flawless logistics. Modern tech sectors and advanced manufacturing cannot operate on outdated power grids or unpaved transport routes. None of this works without the people priority. Cambodia is acutely aware that its current human resources are limited. The plan mandates massive upskilling and educational reform to ensure the workforce can operate these highly technical industries. To manage this, the efficiency mandate targets the government itself. It requires reforming public institutions to be faster, more transparent, and highly responsive to the needs of private businesses and citizens. Finally, the sustainability mandate forces a green transition, ensuring that future energy generation and environmental management protect the natural resources the country relies on. Together, these priorities form the opening chapter of a massive modernization project. Cambodia is shifting its focus from establishing basic physical stability to building true digital and human sophistication. This internal restructuring is timed with an external reality. The center of global economic growth is shifting firmly toward Asia, giving Cambodia a geographical advantage it intends to maximize. To capitalize on this, the state is pursuing a policy of smart diplomacy. By actively participating in regional summits and maintaining open relations across the geopolitical spectrum, Cambodia is securing vital international trade routes and technology transfers. They are also taking a proactive role in global security, regularly deploying thousands of troops to international peacekeeping missions under the United Nations flag. The Pentagonal Strategy serves as the primary tool for securing Cambodia's sovereign future and ensuring an independent voice in regional and global affairs. Ultimately, the goals of this strategy stretch beyond GDP metrics and infrastructure projects. The philosophical objective is to restore national pride to the heights last seen during the Angkor era. You can see that ambition in how the country now presents itself. Hosting major international events like the 32nd Southeast Asian Games demonstrates a newfound capacity for complex organization and global leadership. The Pentagonal Strategy marks a definitive pivot point in modern Cambodian history. It is the moment the nation stops focusing purely on rebuilding from the past and begins constructing its future. The first 25 years were dedicated to basic survival and stability. The next 25 years are entirely about excellence, resilience, and making Vision 2050 a reality.